All right, I want to thank you all for coming to our first 1 Million Cups official launch today. It means so much to have you all in this room supporting our entrepreneurial community and the larger Cedar Valley Startup Initiative that all of us are really trying hard to push forward. A quick update, I'm going to introduce President Root, but before I do, I just want to give everyone a reminder. We have a tradition in the startup event world. Do you guys remember? No. So, if you could, please welcome President Root up. He's going to give a couple of comments, and we're going to go ahead and get started with today's event. President Root.
Thank you. And there's got to be a product or service that can fix that or enhance that. Yeah. I don't know. Go up to, where is it? Up outside of Buffalo, they had 76 inches of snow in 24 hours. It is, isn't it? It's like, really, that's not possible, is it? Welcome, everybody. For those of you that don't know, I guess one of the things that ties me into this this group and this event, I was the Dean of the Business School at the University of Toledo, and I was the Dean of the Business School at Boise State. So as a recovering business dean, I have a huge fondness in my heart for the entrepreneur, and I have a huge fondness in the system of what we do in higher ed, that we probably can do a much better job of instilling all the issues with regard to entrepreneurship that we do. And I'll be very candid with you. We're very, very good in higher ed. In fact, we're exceptional in higher ed at training and educating people to go work for somebody else. Okay? We've been very, very good at doing that. Unfortunately, we haven't been so good on the other side of the house of training and educating people to necessarily go out, not necessarily right away, but at some point in their career of working for themselves. And so we aim, and as all of these events go on, any information you can get through us, through BCS, through Randy, through Rob, let us know of the things we need to do to help make the entrepreneurship world one where we still need to train and educate people to go work for somebody else, but we need to do a lot better job, especially in the non-business disciplines. Because a lot of the ideas, the thoughts, the business enterprise comes out of the non-business part of what we do, from engineering, from health sciences, actuarial science, biology, history, or somebody who just looks at a picture like that and says, hey, I can fix that, and comes up with a great idea to make it happen. So, number one, startups are important. We forget in states like Iowa that we always think we'll go to one of the other 49 states, or we'll go outside the United States and we'll find some company that will come to Iowa and fix it for everybody. And we forget the reality is most states have been extremely successful in growing their own. So we at the University of Northern Iowa support growing our own. We support what you're doing in terms of startup. We support the Million Cup event, which I think is a great idea. I'm not sure how you comment, but you like send in something and say we had 50 people and each had 4 cups of coffee, so that's good. And it's not just, I think the other thing we forget, everybody wants to look at Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all those things and say, oh boy, entrepreneurship is technology. And entrepreneurship is a lot more than technology. Sometimes I find entrepreneurship is back to the future. It's something that we used to do well, and we go back and figure out how to do well and capture that, and maybe we're aided with technology, but it isn't just solely driven by technology. I mean, I was just talking with Randy about one of our local entrepreneurs, Brent Dahlstrom, who just opened up a restaurant downtown called Whiskey Road. If you haven't been there, my advice is go. It is a great addition to the restaurant community of downtown Cedar Falls, and it's not a rocket science idea. It's merely an upscale bistro that kind of serves that place between Tony's Pizza and Montage, and would entertain me in a suit jacket and entertain you in a pair of jeans. And he's divided in half with a restaurant on one side, a bar on the other side, so the older generation can be in the quiet side, right? I think also later this week, Rob, you're going to do Cedar Valley Startup. This is part of Cedar Valley Startup. Where'd he go? Where you go? Cedar Valley Startup
Yep,
is
startup weekend.
Startup weekend. This whole event is part of a whole global entrepreneurship set of issues, so I think that's important for me to recognize. I don't think we need to stop with just having 1 week to do this. I think you need as part of the entrepreneurship community and part of the small business community to push us hard. Push us hard at the university, push us hard to be a partner out of the classroom, push us hard to be a partner in the classroom, push us hard to figure out how we can better partner with you for that all-important thing called MONY. I always tell people, you know, until we start trading chickens, cash is important, okay? And then we start trading chickens, chickens are important. But we need to be able to partner with you and find, I mean, all the universities around this state have foundations and alumni associations and folks who are donors to the university who are also entrepreneurs themselves and have been successful themselves, and for the potential partnership with. I know Ball State University, in their entrepreneurship class, it's a senior capstone class, and the class grade is A or F. Okay, if you sign up for the entrepreneurship class, you either get an A or you get an F, and if you get an F, you got to sit out of school for a semester. Okay, because the argument there is if your spine don't sweat, you can't be an entrepreneur. But more importantly, what they do at all the presentations for that class is there are open and quiet angel investors that come to every presentation at the end of the Ball State entrepreneurship semester and watch those presentations and say yay or nay. I mean, it's the original version of the Shark Tank, right? So they look at it, and there have been several programs that have been invested in. I mean, you got to go back. Gatorade still paying 5% to the University of Florida. Okay, I always love the bottom of the two guys that founded Google. If you look at their resumes, it talks about all the stuff they do, and at the very bottom it says education, and it says on lead PhD program, Stanford University. Okay, Stanford University is one of the big shareholders of Google. All right, so please challenge us to be your partner in a better way. Mayor, how are you? Both inside and outside the classroom. I need to recognize that they're here. The planning team for the Main Cups event, which encompasses other critical Cedar Valley home organizations, Main Street, Cedar Falls, and Waterloo, Greater Cedar Valley Alliance, which I'm a part of, and also perhaps more importantly, a bunch of you. So anybody who's on the planning team, it's a big one. We supported, we created an environment. I want to make sure there's an environment out here, you and I, where there's no penalty for raising your hand. If you got an idea, you got a suggestion, you want to send an email, you want to send a note, you want to grab Randy around the head and knock on his head or something, or say, hey, Rob, what about? Please make sure that it's a 2- and 3-way street so that we can make sure we help you, make sure that this is a safe place for you to come and be. It's an easy place for you to get information. It's a place where we can join with you and start up and succeed and start up, maybe skin our knee and start up again. Because the other thing we need to understand in colleges and universities is that as a person that we educate and train and goes to work for somebody else, changes job 4, 5, 6 times. Somebody whose heart and stomach are comfortable in the entrepreneurial world may start and end companies 4, 5, or 6 times. And somebody like me, that's a way uncomfortable world. Somebody like you, that's what you're into. So I think that communication becomes important. Have fun today, enjoy. Don't be too hard in your 20 minutes on your 2 presenters in terms of what they're going to do and what they can do better. But just enjoy yourself and know that you and I are your partner. Thanks much.
So, in that spirit, a quick overview of 1 Million Cups for those of you who are new to this experience. Both of our presenters today will get 6 minutes apiece to do a quick overview of what their organization or business is doing, and to also share what their greatest challenge is. As participants today, your role is to listen, and then during a 20-minute feedback after each of their presentations, provide feedback or ideas on what they can do to improve their business. But moreover, after this event, intentionally find ways to help them in the community. Each of you have great resources, great networks. Please, 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 we ask that you leverage those to help build our entire startup ecosystem. Without further ado, I want to welcome Dan Bacon with Advance Iowa to be our first presenter today. Dan, go
Okay. So I'm Dan Binkin, I'm the program manager for Advance Iowa, and the last 4 or 5 weeks now we've been part of the venture school that you and I and the University of Iowa have been putting on here. And also, before I get going too far, if you smell a little Hall's vapor flowing through here, it's me. I'm the father of 2 little girls that I started to take daycare, and I've learned that sick only means sick if your child is projectile vomiting. Otherwise, kids are all there, and if they don't have a runny nose, they're probably not alive. So I'm getting sick. Sorry, back there, whoever was sitting by me.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you need a cough drop, let me know, I'm your guy. Okay, so what is Advance Iowa? What are we about? Our program came about because we realized that there was a lot of services for entrepreneurs and startups, much like this Million Cups and the incubator across the way and countless other things. Large companies have a lot of resources at their disposal. They have much more scale. But then there's a segment in between there that we're calling second stage companies. Those mid-sized companies have maybe 10 to 100 employees. They don't maybe have nearly the resources that those larger companies have, but they still have needs. And so we're trying to serve that market. So that's where we're coming from. Here's our service offering to date. We do a lot of strategic assessment work, coaching and consulting. And these 2 parts down here are kind of newer and more of a result of the venture school experience. So we're offering CEO roundtables across the state, and we're doing more with financial assessment work and benchmarking. So if you're not familiar with venture school and you're looking at doing a startup, I strongly recommend you get involved. I was extremely skeptical beforehand. I was rolling my eyes at the thought of having to sit around here till 9 o'clock at night, hanging out with Lori and things like that. The Lori part aside, everything else has been great. So I strongly recommend taking advantage of that. So why venture school has been great for us is that we've identified that these business owners in that 10 to 100 employee bucket, they're not all the same. There are several different archetypes, I would call them, as far as the type of company ownership. And you can see those here. I'm going to go through each one and then get to why we're here and what we're hoping to get from all of you. So buyer Betty. Betty is a new owner of a company that's been around a while. She may not be the majority owner, but she has some ownership stake in the firm, which sometimes means that the previous ownership is still there running the strings and that kind of thing. But she comes in with great experience and skills. And so she has some top needs here that we've been finding out through talking to several buyer Bettys out there. She may be backed up. Part of the homework of venture school is that you have to do 100 discovery calls with potential clients in your market space. So if you're selling coffee, you have to talk to 100 coffee drinkers and get some ideas and feedback from them on what they want and that kind of thing. So we've been talking to a bunch of Bettys, we've been talking to a bunch of hired gun Hank types, and Hank is maybe he's new to the industry, he's new to the company, he maybe worked somewhere else for a long time and realized that he was never going to get to the top there. And he's probably from a larger organization, so he's used to relying on larger resources to do things. And so he's got some things that now he's in this smaller firm that they just can't afford. And so that's where we can bring some things to the table, I think, for him. Promoted Pete, another segment here. Pete's been around a long time at the company, and maybe the current owner is finally giving up the top seat. And so he's promoting Pete into that general manager position. Pete has a great technical skill set, but he probably has very little financial acumen. And he may or may not be any part of the ownership structure as well. Let's see here. Then we have Silver Spoon Steve, and we talk to a lot of Steves out there. Just because of the nature of this business that we're working with, these 10 to 100 employee firms, it's a lot of someone founded the company and then turned it over to the second generation and that kind of thing. And so Steve's now at the top, and he might have a brother or a sister or 2 or 3 of them, and they're all kind of fighting about decision making and things like that. Typically, they have been groomed with the technical skill set that their father had, and they oftentimes don't have great financial acumen either. Let's see here, and then founder Frank, he's kind of he is a big chunk of who we serve right now. So we've served about 80 companies to date across the state, and a lot of them fit into this bucket. They had a technical skill set. They started something from an entrepreneurial scale, and they grew it into a 40 employee company, something like that. And we work with a lot of people like that. They have a great technical skill set, whatever that might be, but they don't have very good business acumen. They've learned a lot of that on the fly. They've learned a lot of that by making mistakes in terms of leadership, employee buy-in, financial decision making, and things like that. So we see a lot of them. One thing that let me go through this real quick, just so in case haven't been exposed to the business model canvas before. This is kind of our roadmap within the venture school class, is taking what's called the business model canvas, which is what I would call like a business plan 2.0 type of thing, and using this as a framework to develop your revenue model. Which is another thing that we are incorporating into our program is a revenue model. Up until now, we had been pretty much a 100% subsidized program for our clients. And we're realizing that when you give things away for free, you often don't get accountability from those people that you're giving it to. So we have started to interject a pricing structure, and I don't know how I'm doing on time, but I don't want to get too detailed with this. But essentially, we're coming up with a few different packages for our clients that include some of the services that we think that they're looking for. And we're using the discovery call process to identify what are they truly looking for. This is our distribution channel, which is part of the business model canvas. And essentially, we've been working as a offer for referrals from either existing clients or people in the economic development space, those kinds of things to find our clients. And why we're here today to present to all of you is this first part here, which is trust. So we go into work with a client, they oftentimes have no clue who we are. They have no reason to trust Dan Finken. As any of you who know me know, there's no reason to trust me. And they probably have a lack of awareness of our services. They don't know who we are, what we do, right? And so we're in there trying to sell them something. And like anyone else who's in there trying to sell something, there's that trust factor that needs to be developed. And that's what we have to figure out how to incorporate into our pricing model, I think, anyway. We toyed with some sort of freemium type product or something like that. And that's where we're at. So how do we build trust with our clients? That's what I got. Thanks for listening. And any feedback for me? Is that how I do it, Rob?
That's how you do it.
All right. Can I go sit down now?
No.
One way to build trust, go back to your slide where you were showing your partners. Go back to that distribution.
Yeah.
So if you're having your CPAs, your CPA firms, if you have good relationships with them, they identify someone that needs maybe a little bit more hand-holding, that maybe so those referrals, so maybe really establishing a relationship with those service providers, make them aware of your services. That client already trusts that person.
Okay.
And if you get referred from them, then that trust will also transfer.
Okay.
And that they're recommending it. So that would be one thing I would look at.
How about along with that, so a question back to you is those CPAs sometimes, they're super busy for a few months out of the year, and then the rest of the year, a lot of them try to wear or do wear a consulting hat. Are they going to see us as competition in their door?
Right here's a good man to ask that question.
Okay, great. Thanks for coming. You don't think so? Okay.
I think it's probably benefit for me to explain what you're doing, how it's different. I don't have time to do it.
Sweet. This was already worth it, thank you. Not that it wasn't before.
Yeah. I'll make sure we'll do an introduction.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
And, go ahead. I was just gonna say, build on that comment real quick. It could be, you can consider a franchise model of sorts where it may be, you know, if you're talking to an accountant, what's in it for them? So it could be a service that they would offer, you know, so in a sense, it's a finder's fee for them.
Okay.
Bring up your costs a little bit, and there's some sort of a way that you can collaborate with them, so they're out there providing this as a service to their clients as well. Now, you can use that over in the economic development world, so you can use economic developers who have, you know, they think of their businesses as clients.
Yeah.
Membership drives and things of that nature, how could you become part of that?
Okay. Okay. Is there any ethical issues with that? I mean, are you talking direct payment or not necessarily?
Yeah. It would be right.
Okay.
Okay, that'd be collaboration. So, I don't know, it's ethical,
Well,
well, we're not at that point, yet, yeah.
okay, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Go easy on.
I'd want to see results from past clients,
Okay.
case studies, the impact that you've actually made on them.
Okay. With actual probably dollars attached, maybe some growth numbers, that kind of thing, or that's just.
Yeah, I want to
qualitative
see numbers.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Does that surprise anybody?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, what's the time frame that do you guys have a time box that you guys try to operate this? You mentioned like the customer discovery, business model canvas, you've got several things in there.
Yeah.
What does that typically look like for a start to?
Well, like with a new client, you know, coming in the door, what it looks like maybe is a strategic needs assessment on the front end to try to help them. If they don't already know or reinforce what they already do, where their strengths and weaknesses are, for lack of a better, you know, it gives us some sort of an intake process to get a feel for who the company is, and hopefully starts to gain some buy-in from them that we're, because these people aren't idiots, so they know where they're weak times. We can just kind of mirror what they were already thinking. I think that has helped us build more trust on the front end. From that, we typically delve into our service offering model. You know, either it's market research type of things to help them make decisions, or it's putting them into a CEO roundtable. We also are putting in a quarterly financial review where we use their numbers to help drive, to serve as a vehicle to drive conversation around what's worked, what hasn't worked, as we, you know, offered suggestions, or as they've gotten suggestions from their roundtable and try to implement some of those things. And so we use the numbers as the report card on is this working, is this not working. So, you know, we're trying to have an ongoing relationship with them, not necessarily a starting initiative. I don't know if that makes sense.
The first part of what you're saying, you know, just comes through the accelerator. It's so much of what we just went through, which we know the value of it. So the time box of the 94 days was a big part of our success inside of that. So, and then the other thing that just occurred to me, so that, you know, we've had some conversations about this, is that is understanding the true, like what Chad was saying, like what's the numbers, and show me that, but also the quality of the mentorship. Like those people, like in order to be able to justify the expense, but also justify the way you're going to get those months of growth, by the quality of the mentors, like being really good.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a key part for
Most
us.
of the people that are working for us are way older and way smarter. So I agree with that.
They're definitely probably smarter.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Randy?
You mentioned succession. I did. If you look at that, is that held up on its own as one area that you're going to work on, or are you going to find that through each of the 5 types that you're working with?
Well, certainly, whether you like it or not, everyone has to exit their business, right?
And we just hear a lot about it. That's why I'm wondering if you're holding out that separately.
I think, I don't know yet. We haven't had enough discovery calls for us to make a call yet on that, but I know it will be a huge part of what we're trying to offer. And I think it'll be a space where we can have a niche role across what other people are doing in the space. And I don't know, succession planning is a huge topic that includes a lot of things. So I don't know which parts of that we can focus on with what we're doing. But I know that before we started venture school, it was way back here in my mind. And now that we've had these discovery calls, it's moved way up to the forefront of our service offering, how we can do that, and helping really identify who the people are that we hire to work for us based upon the development experience with them. So it's a good point, and I don't know exactly yet how we're going
It's gonna be a key area where a lot of different partners will have to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of them could be referral partners for us. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. All right, Josh, yeah.
Are you currently reaching out and connecting with your clients? How do you additionally find them?
Well, I would say some of that is referral, so we're a bit unique here in that we have about 75, 80 current clients who have worked with us. So we've gotten referrals from some of them. Another place that we're mining for clients is through the economic development profession, through folks like the Cedar Valley Alliance, and across the state, UNI has great relationships with those folks. And so we've been able to leverage UNI's relationships, and more specifically Randy and his group's relationships with those folks to help us drive some traffic to what we're doing. We've done a couple of webinars, but I think we're going to have to get more into that seminar mode, doing something around a topic like succession planning to bring more butts to the seats, so to speak. So I would say, as we've been developing our pricing model, we haven't been doing a lot of prospecting. Instead of focusing on this customer discovery process, which is a little different, we haven't used that as a sales tool. So, do you have any ideas for me?
Well, maybe you discuss that.
All right, go.
All right, so we're out of time for questions. The last question we always ask our presenters is, what do you need from the community to make this, take it to the next level?
Prepared for that. I need some more cough drops, and maybe just I guess the referral thing, right? I mean, I think that's the easiest thing. Is if you know of someone who's working in this range of client size that you think would be great for us to get 10 minutes of their time. We're still doing discovery calls, and I would approach it that way with them. And we'll try to get an hour of their time, but if we get 10 minutes of their time, that would be awesome. I think that's where we're going to start. So, thank you. Thanks for coming and supporting us. Appreciate it.
We're going to take a short break, and then we will go with our next presenter. So fill up your coffee, chat, and then we'll get started. Alright, up next, we have Tracy Stefan from HowFactory. And asking him how he wanted me to introduce him. He says there's a couple things you need to know. 1, I'm an entrepreneur. 2, I'm kind of an asshole. 3, you either love me or hate me. And today, let's show him some love.
So it could be said that it all started in this building about 8 or 9 years ago, but truthfully, it all started 35,000 years ago, when a primitive process engineer documented the first visual standard operating procedure, how to kill a mammoth. And then, in 1886, Frederick Sonneck invented the 3-ring binder. And finally, 30 years ago, Microsoft released Microsoft Word. And it wasn't long before someone in a factory somewhere combined all 3 of these incredible technologies to create the standard operating procedure in a binder. And for the last 30 years, the binder's become the state-of-the-art for delivering critical knowledge inside of our manufacturing facilities. But they're very difficult to maintain. So you end up with thousands of outdated processes scattered in these binders. So what do you end up with? Well, product failures, recalls, and even injury. So it's really past time for us to dump this outdated technology from 1886. We are HowFactory, and we're bringing know-how to the 21st century. We're revolutionizing how you create, how you use, and how you update standard operating procedures, training, and work instructions. We're making it simple. Let me show you HowFactory. You walk out on the shop floor with the HowFactory mobile app on a mobile tablet. You follow the prompts step by step, and you add pictures and videos as you go. And when you're done, the process is laid out for you automatically. Ready to use, easily updatable, and that's it. If you want to pull up a process, scan a QR code. The most accurate, up-to-date information, including interactive video, is at your fingertips. You can even include CAD drawings and 3D models. Try putting that in a binder. But what if there's a change or a problem? Well, all you have to do is send a message with that change to the administrator. Snap a picture of it, and she'll update the process for everyone in an instant. She can even use the HowFactory dashboard to see who saw the change and when. HowFactory creates the ultimate living documents. And we've made it really easy to get started. Our monthly subscription pricing makes it so that manufacturers of any size can use HowFactory. We just went live with our beta program, and we already have 10 customers, with now over 40 customers on our waiting list. The need is tremendous because 25% of the manufacturing workforce is retiring in the next 10 years. And HowFactory is the tool that manufacturers have been asking us for to enable the massive generational transfer of knowledge that's required. There are 150,000 small to medium-sized manufacturers just right here in the United States. And we know that companies with fewer than 500 employees feel the pain and the risk of lost knowledge the most. So we're helping them first. Because we know the opportunity for those companies and for HowFactory is huge. And we know all of this because we're industry experts. I'm Trace, and I'm the CEO of HowFactory. I'm a teacher, a trainer, and a manufacturing technologist. I've worked with Ford, Case New Holland, Bowen, Northrop Grumman, and over 200 other companies. My co-founder, Kenny Stevenson, he built a multi-million-dollar training center, and his company trained over 10,000 workers. Kenny and I are process guys, and we know that great processes are needed everywhere, not just manufacturing. HowFactory has application in healthcare, education, finance, and more. The opportunity is massive, but we're launching focused on manufacturing. In Cedar Rapids, Accelerated Cooking Products understands the value that HowFactory provides. ACP makes high-speed commercial ovens for McDonald's, Subway, Burger King, and many more companies. And pretty soon, their manufacturing line is going to look like this. Because we are thrilled that Accelerated Cooking Products is under agreement. And with a successful rollout in Cedar Rapids, they will introduce HowFactory to all 76 companies under the Ally Group North American portfolio. And it's through partnerships and strategic marketing like this that allows you to scale a company. But we want to help your companies too. So we're doing something exciting for 1 million cups. Now, if you were at launch day, you might have known that we had a special opportunity where if you reached underneath your chair, you would find an iPhone 6 scannable QR code. Well, you've got that right in front of you, but also on this, for 1 million cups only, you're going to see a phone number up here for my co-founder, Kenny Stevenson, and his Twitter handle's right here. If you tweet or text Kenny right now, "Did I win?" we're going to randomly choose one person to receive an iPad Mini from the 1 million cups to celebrate the launch. Woo! Because we are HowFactory, and we're changing companies through know-how. Thank you.
All right, questions?
What do you need help with? The biggest thing that we've got, we've been able to create an awesome team. We've gone through a lot of stuff the last 94 days, 100 days now, since we started with the Iowa Startup Accelerator, which, by the way, so much of what we learned echoes exactly what Dan is doing with the Advanced Iowa. So I'm a huge supporter of those things. One of the areas that we have a particular need in is, and I can say this in public because we're a 506C, is that we're in raising resources right now, capital. So we've launched this seed round. So we're looking to speak directly with angel investors. So if you are part of that community, or you know people in that community, or you have interactions with those people that you think that HowFactory is something that they should know about, then we definitely want to have those conversations with those people. So that's a very specific thing that we need. And the other thing is that we're a growth company. So we're always looking for abilities for us to get better and improve what we're doing. Find beta sites you know, like, I'm very serious. If your company, if you're not manufacturing, but you have processes that you need to handle, please scan the QR code or just go to howfactory.com/hello and get signed up for the beta, because we want to talk to you and we want to be able to help companies, whether they're specifically manufacturing or not, even though that's our launch focus. There's other companies that are in knowledge work environments and education that we're working with. So those are two features.
You're a recent graduate of the Iowa Accelerator.
Yeah.
How has that impacted your business moving forward?
I could probably talk about that for like 2 or 3 hours. It is something that there's 130 teams that applied. There were 3 teams from the state of Iowa that got in. We were one of them. We were honestly one of the first teams that got in. But that fact didn't become apparent to us until later on, and we were really honored by that. But we didn't know what to expect when we got in there. The amount that has changed our company is, I cannot state it enough. It's not just like getting a master's degree and how to build a startup in 90 days. It goes way beyond that. It's changed our DNA completely. So it's been truly an amazing experience for our company. The mentors that we worked with, the customer discovery calls that we had, that we conducted, working the business model canvas, those things, just transformational in our company. And then to have people that we trust that we can go to, and then the investment that we've gotten out of it as well. I mean, these things are just unbelievable tools that we got out of our Startup Accelerator. And I'm going to throw one more thing in real quick. The entrepreneurs that we worked with were unbelievable. So when you're working with just people that are amazing at what they do, you can't help but just raise your game every single day, because you're around that. There's a buzz there, and there's excitement, and there's an immense amount of pressure. But just like pressure creates diamonds, you know, it really created some great companies out of it.
I guess a quick question, a couple of quick questions. Are there competitors doing the same thing, and is there anything proprietary about what you're doing that differentiates it?
Yeah, so there are companies that we fall in the category of manufacturers in a similar category to what ERP solutions are viewed at, and there are some specific plugins for ERP solutions that handle work instructions. But what they end up doing is they're trying to do things machine generated most of the time. So what you end up with, if you think about it this way, like if you have a project, you use project management tools, and it just spits out a list of things that you need to go to do. What HowFactory does is it creates not only like shows you what you need to do, but it really gets into the depth of how to do it. So that's a differentiator for us from the way that most people are tackling the problem. There are about 3 other companies that have really within just the last year that are trying to solve similar problems for many, many different companies. We're a little bit more focused than them, and we have some creative. We have some ways that we go about it that have been proven themselves to be more effective. For instance, most of the time when you're creating processes, particularly manufacturing, but a lot of companies, you'll hire some outside consultant to stand over someone's shoulder to say, this is how you should probably do that. We believe that that's inefficient and costs a lot of companies money. So we've developed our technology in a way to enable experts at your companies to be able to capture the knowledge, whether they have a small amount of technical ability or a large amount of technical ability. We want to make it so that your experts can actually create the processes that build the systems that companies are based on. So that's one small example of a differentiator.
Is the database and all the information in it built, like you said, directly with people in the company? Or are you guys going in and helping them get started on like basic things? Are they have to find people at that time to build that whole thing?
So I don't want to get in the weeds on how we're doing things, you know, because it gets a little crazy, right? But first of all, anything that a company puts in, they can get back out from the text and the images and the videos and all that kind of stuff. We don't lock anyone in. That's another differentiator for us. But the other side of it is that between our web platform and our mobile capture, we can actually make it really easy for you to take the stuff that you've already done and get it into the system. We can also get paid hourly to put it in there for you as well. So we can help create those processes to get it into the database, because there's thousands of processes out there. And then the last thing is that we've got something that really awesome that we're doing, where we're working directly with strategic partners that, say, a coatings company. Joe, you know, he's worked with a lot of these coatings companies, right? And they have all of these other these products that that they make, you know, to paint, you know, chips and they paint tables and they paint all of this stuff, and then have everyone else that they depend on to use their product correctly, otherwise it will fail at these companies. So we're working with those companies to create the processes inside HowFactory, and then allow companies, instead of recreating that work, to simply be able to choose that vendor's processes and then customize them to their own needs. And that creates a sales channel for us. It alleviates a pain point of having to put all this information into the system, and it just makes the tool just really integrated into a company, because you have many vendors system or process on one tool rather than each of those companies trying to do it themselves. Does that answer the question?
Okay.
Are these processes like around one machine in particular, like one process is for this machine? If so, is there opportunity to go to the companies for other machines?
Yeah.
Right.
We've actually got a relationship with a company called Styles, who is the largest manufacturer of CNC equipment in North America. And Styles, they're the distributor, I should say. They're not the manufacturer. So we've got a test program right now where we're working to put how you use that particular machine built directly into the interface of it. So we've got some projects like that too. And then from there, then all of the other associated machines and all these other cells that they have can all be on the HowFactory as well. So does that kind of make sense to that? Is there more? The idea is really that there's so many processes from so many different sources. We need one common platform that we can put these all into that gives the control back to the actual company themselves. It's corporate memory. In corporate memory, like if we know, if inside of you and I, inside of the BCS, there's things that we need to be followed like a certain way. And it's just like every other organization. If we don't follow things a certain way, we reduce our effectiveness. Well, corporate memory, by increasing it, actually increases the value of organizations. It's actually a trackable metric. So that's the problem we're solving.
Because you're often dealing with companies' proprietary information, how many companies you establish non-disclosure type relationships that they legal deed and then NDA signature.
So far, it hasn't been a huge challenge for us, but we're really cognizant of it. Most of the companies to the CDIs, we found out, we expected them to want to host the stuff locally, and they haven't. They've actually wanted it to be cloud-based a lot of times, which is surprising to us. But we are building the platform so that there is a localized option, which is more expensive because of the hassles about it, but that's okay. But yeah, that's the way that so when you do it that way, then their processes are in how they actually do it, their videos, all those files are stored locally inside of their firewall, inside of their safety net, and then it just punches a little hole to get to the HowFactory so that we can populate where it needs to be. So we've definitely thought and worked to address that. It hasn't been the issue that we thought it would be yet, and then there's some parts of it like we're monitoring that to see how that grows over time.
It's kind of a random question, but you're looking for investors.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back, or can you pull now go back to your office and show the investor how HowFactory is using HowFactory? So are you guys using your own product? Yeah.
So we have started to so one of the things, in order to be able to conceptualize what we're doing, we started to go through and this is a fairly recent development, so it's not very we're not activating it completely throughout the company, but we started like if we need to show somebody how to pull a picture or put a picture on a website or do something like that. I think sent something to Alex just the other day where I went through and I captured a bunch of screen captures and stuff like that, basically creating a HowFactory process to be able to show how to do things. So yeah, we're rolling that out internally, and that actually allows us to be able to do some organic SEO stuff to be able to market as well. So yeah, we're moving absolutely in that direction to be able to integrate it. We're process guys, so we've already tried to integrate that into what we do, but we never had a tool. That's why we created the tools, because we didn't have a tool to do it. So we're really excited now because we always got the same. We're like, if only there's a software tool for us to communicate how to update the blog, that'd be great. So that's exactly right.
right, you've already kind of answered this, but just for recap, what do you need from the community to take this to the next level?
Support, like everything that we said, but so we're Cedar Falls based. We have our office in Waterloo. We really want this to be a Cedar Falls company, Waterloo company, and we want support from the community to allow us to be able to do that. Because of where our investment's coming from currently, there's pressures. Because of where some of our team is located, there are pressures. Because of the opportunities and the clients that we have in front of us right now, there are pressures. I really want this company to be based in Cedar Falls, and the way that we accomplish that is through support from the community. So that's something, and I don't think that's just us. I think that's, we want to support Startup Weekend, 1 million cups. 1 million cups has the potential to be transformational for what we're doing in the startup community here. I'm really a big believer of it. So that's the biggest thing. It's like, don't make it so hard for us to find out who we need to talk to build our business. Make it really, really obvious avenues of success.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Couple quick wrap-up announcements. We will not have 1 million cups next week. We're going to take the week off for Thanksgiving. The following Wednesday, we will have the winners of Startup Weekend Cedar Falls present, and that's happening this weekend. If you haven't signed up yet, it's going to be a life-changing event for you. You definitely need to be there. It starts on Friday. It's a 54-hour event that ends on Sunday. If you haven't heard, Michael and Keegan, raise your hands. They can talk to you about it if you have any questions. But December 3rd, we'll have the winners of that event doing their presentation so you can see what really came out of that. Also, December 17th is still open, so if you have an idea that you want to present, even if it's not fully formed and you just want to get some validation from the community, please go online to our website, cedarvalley1mc.com, and apply, and we'll get you set up. Thank you so much, guys, for coming, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
I think she's got a gate.